There comes a moment in every spiritually awake person's life when they realize that solitude is not loneliness. It is freedom, clarity, and self-ownership. Too many people rush into relationships out of fear of being alone, fear of being misunderstood, fear of not being enough unless someone else validates their existence. But the awakened individual knows something deeper. You are not meant to be completed by another person. You are meant to remember that you were already complete from the beginning. When you stay single out of awareness, not fear, you start to see life from a higher place. You begin to understand yourself as a universe vast, flowing, beautifully unpredictable. You understand your desires, your emotional patterns, your triggers, your strengths. You listen to your inner voice without the noise of someone else's expectations. And it is in this sacred inner silence that your true self finally speaks. People who are spiritually awake don't stay single because they reject love, they stay single because they refuse to treat love as an escape. They don't want a relationship that hides their wounds, they want a connection that meets their healed self. They don't want a partner who fills a void, they want one who shares their overflowing cup. Until that alignment appears, solitude becomes their teacher. Being single allows you to make choices without compromise, to explore without limits, to grow without resistance. You learn that happiness is an inside job, peace is a self-built temple, clarity is earned through stillness, not through attachment. When you are single, you don't have to shrink yourself, bend yourself, or silence yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. You rise into your authentic identity, and that identity becomes your power. Staying single becomes a powerful state of awareness when a person allows solitude to become a mirror rather than a punishment. In moments of quiet, free from constant validation or comparison, an individual begins to see layers of their inner world that were once blurred by noise. Solitude creates a space where every emotion, desire, and pattern rises to the surface with clarity. Without relying on another to define worth, a person learns to recognize their own value from within. This inner space becomes an open field where self-reflection can grow, where decisions are made from calm understanding rather than pressure or fear. When someone embraces being on their own, they give themselves permission to explore who they truly are. They begin to observe their reactions, tendencies, and dreams without needing to adjust or shrink for anyone else. Every choice becomes an expression of their own evolving identity. They can listen deeply to their inner voice and discover what brings peace, what ignites passion, and what drains energy. In this process of exploration, they gain a rare form of emotional independence. They no longer depend on external approval to feel complete, nor do they fear standing alone. Instead, they learn that their own presence is enough, and this realization becomes a steady, grounding force. Solitude also offers a kind of stillness that is difficult to find in constant company. In this stillness, a person can observe life with more awareness. They notice subtle signals from their instincts, recognize old wounds that need release, and find new paths for growth. In this sacred quiet, clarity emerges naturally. A person begins to understand what they want from life, what boundaries they must set, and what values truly guide them. This clarity becomes a compass, directing them toward choices that support their growth rather than trap them in repeated cycles. Remaining single for a period of self-discovery also brings emotional strength. When someone spends time learning to support themselves, comfort themselves, and motivate themselves, they build an inner stability that cannot be shaken by external events. They develop resilience because they no longer fear being alone. They recognize that solitude is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the chance to return to one's own center without distraction. This strength allows them to enter future connections from a place of confidence rather than need. Over time, this journey of being single forms a deep understanding of one's own identity. A person becomes aware of what fits their energy and what disrupts it. They become selective not out of arrogance but out of self-respect. They refuse connections that disturb their peace, and they welcome only those that align with their authentic self. This selective openness ensures that any future bond will be healthier, stronger, and built on truth rather than illusion. In the end, choosing solitude becomes one of the most empowering decisions a spiritually aware person can make, because it gives them the chance to meet themselves fully before inviting anyone else into their sacred inner world. Below is an expanded version *** without using the letter H. ***, every sentence has been carefully crafted to avoid it. A person in deep inner awareness avoids unions formed out of fear or emptiness. One does not seek a partner merely to cover unseen pain or to gain a mask of comfort. An awake soul sees clearly that an outer bond cannot repair an inner wound. Longing for union due to loneliness only creates cycles of need, not genuine connection. So remaining solo becomes a conscious act, an act of self-care, not a sign of avoidance. It is a way to keep one's inner state clean, pure, and grounded in real understanding. An aware individual senses that entering a bond from a place of lack only leads to more inner strain. If one looks for a partner to fill an inner void, that bond soon becomes a cage. Instead of growing, one begins to lean, depend, and lose one's own voice. But an awakened soul refuses this pattern. One prefers calm solitude until one's inner cup is full. Only a full cup can flow into a real, balanced union. In this way, solo living becomes a sacred period of inner rebalance. By staying solo consciously, one avoids using romance as a form of escape. Many run into union to silence inner noise or avoid self-reflection. But an aware soul does not run. One pauses, listens, and grows. One gives room for inner pain to rise, be seen, and be eased naturally. One allows old patterns to dissolve and new clarity to form. In solitude, self sees its own motives clearly. No veil remains, no excuses remain, only pure insight remains. In this state, one's life is guided not by impulse, but by inner calm. One no longer seeks approval, praise, or constant company for comfort. Instead, one enjoys still days, quiet evenings, and long self-dialogue. One begins to see that comfort found in one's own presence is more valuable than any fleeting outer affection. Inner peace forms slowly, yet once solid, it cannot be taken away by anyone or any event. Over time, this level of inner maturity builds a new standard for union. One will not settle for less. One will not accept bonds fueled by fear, control, or emotional imbalance. Only a partner grounded in similar self-awareness can step into one's life. And even in such a case, union becomes a choice, not a need. It becomes a meeting of two full beings, not two incomplete souls seeking completion. In this way, solo living becomes a period of inner evolution. It protects one from illusions. It keeps one aligned. It keeps one safe from repeating past cycles. It transforms solitude into a sanctuary. And for many awakened souls, staying solo is not a delay in life. It is an essential season, a sacred pause, a time where real inner freedom is cultivated, preserved, and fully claimed self. Mastery creates a rare inner radiance, a calm energy that naturally invites better people, better bonds, and better moments. When one focuses on inner repair, on emotional balance, and on self-guided evolution, life begins to respond in new ways. Instead of seeking approval or validation, one grows into a state of inner fullness. This fullness sends a clear signal into T-world. I am complete, I am centered, I am ready only for connections that align. In this state, one no longer runs after people or forces any union. Instead, people feel drawn toward his balanced energy, for balance is magnetic. As one invests in emotional rising, clarity grows, patterns once unseen become visible, old reactions lose power, emotional fires cool into stable confidence. A person in this state no longer reacts from fear, but responds from calm knowing. This creates a new inner frequency, and that frequency decides what enters one's life. Whenever one feels steady, peaceful, and secure, one no longer entertains company that drains or disrupts inner peace. This natural filter ensures that only individuals of similar maturity can come close. Self-mastery also eliminates the need to beg for affection or chase after attention. Once inner confidence is real, external approval becomes optional. One starts to speak, move, and live from self-respect. And self-respect is one of the strongest forms of attraction. It signals to the world that one cannot be treated casually. It signals that one values one's own space, energy, and presence. People sense this immediately. Some step back because they cannot meet that standard. Some step forward because they resonate with it. This is the gift of inner work. It sorts life for you. Those whose inner world is steady also display a natural calm calling. They listen more, react less, and see life beyond immediate emotion. This calm creates safety for others. It invites genuine conversation, real connection, and deep trust. Yet at the same time, this calm refuses any bond fueled by emotional chaos. It accepts only connections that match its inner order. In this way, the soul protects itself effortlessly. Over time, this state of self-mastery becomes the silent force that shapes one's entire relational life. One stops desiring people whose energy disrupts stability. One stops repeating old cycles. One stops forming connections based on fear of being alone. Instead, every bond becomes a conscious choice. Every link becomes a reflection of inner evolution. In this stage, one finally sees that the goal was never to find someone to complete life. The real goal was to rise into a version of self that attracts connections naturally, connections aligned, connections real. Self-mastery is not merely self-improvement. It is a transformation of energy, identity, and presence. And when that transformation is real, love in its purest form arrives on its own, drawn not by need but by resonance. Solitude becomes a vital season in life, a time in which one forms a deep inner base for all future bonds. In silent days and calm nights, one gains a rare vision of one's own core. By living solo, one learns what one truly values, what one must let go, and what kind of energy one desires to allow in. It is in this period of inner stillness that one lays foundations for love that is real, steady, and free from fear-driven patterns. Being alone is not a pause. It is a stage of inner building, a time to craft a life aligned with clarity and inner ease. During this time, one begins to see that genuine affection cannot grow on unstable ground. Many rush into unions seeking comfort or escape, yet unions born from need often collapse under pressure. Solo living removes this risk. It allows one's mind and soul to settle, to explore desires, limits, and personal aims. As one gains inner balance, one also gains confidence in one's own journey, and confidence becomes a form of silent wisdom, guiding choices, directing steps, and forming a strong inner base. In solitude, one also develops emotional awareness. One sees patterns that once went unnoticed. One begins to understand reactions, wounds, and internal stories that guided past decisions. This awareness becomes a tool for future union, for it prevents repeating cycles of pain. A person with emotional clarity enters future connections not to seek rescue, but to share, grow, and rise. 'Tis is what makes future love stronger. It is not built from emptiness, but from fullness. As one continues living solo consciously, life begins to align naturally. Good energy enters, good people arrive. 'Tis occurs not from effort, but from energetic purity. A life built in solitude is free from forced compromises. Every step, every lesson, every moment forms a deeper base. One becomes someone stable, reflective, and receptive. A bond formed later becomes a meeting of two full beings, not a trade of needs or fears. This kind of union is rare, yet it is only possible when one invests time in preparing one's own soul first. This period also allows one to develop self-respect. One realizes one's own value, one's own voice, and one's own energy. Once self-respect is real, one refuses any bond that diminishes self-love. Solo seasons give room to grow that respect until it becomes unbreakable. And once it is unbreakable, it guides one toward people whose presence adds to life, not drains it. In this way, staying solo becomes a sacred stage, not an end, not a failure, not a delay, but a silent rising. It is a deepening of identity, a cleansing of old emotional debris, a return to inner balance. It transforms one into a being ready for love that is equal, balanced, and aligned with inner peace. And when such a bond finally enters, it grows not from dependency, but from mutual reverence, genuine care, and a fully developed inner base. In the end, this message is not about choosing solitude over love, but about choosing awareness over illusion. Staying single becomes a sacred act when it is guided by clarity rather than fear. It is the space where you learn your own worth, where you strengthen your emotional center, and where you remove the noise that once clouded your path. Spiritually awake individuals understand that real love cannot grow on unstable ground, and so they take the time to build themselves first. They refuse to rush. They refuse to settle. They refuse to lose themselves just to avoid being alone. This speech reminds us that solitude is not emptiness, but preparation. Not isolation, but alignment. It is the season where you rise into your true self, so you can meet the future from a place of strength. When you honor this journey, you attract relationships that match your inner growth rather than your old wounds. You move with confidence, you choose with intention, and you love with maturity. And eventually, when the right connection appears, it will not be a rescue, it will be a union of two complete souls walking the same path with awareness, peace, and authenticity. This is why staying single is not just a lifestyle choice. It is often the smartest, most spiritually elevated decision one can make. It is the space where you become the person you were always meant to be, whole, grounded, and ready for a love that mirrors your highest self.